Hello, this is Balance 47s, and I wanted to talk today about the need to be accepted. I mean, I don't know why we all have that particular hang up for the need to be accepted, but we do, unfortunately. I think it's just like a maternal thing, like a mother has. Like once her child is born and is here, you can't imagine the life without the person. So once you're embraced by anything or anyone, I do believe that it has an impact on you physically and emotionally, and you want that need to be accepted all the time. And a lot of us won't admit it, but we really do. I think it's just part of our human nature to just want to be a part of an acceptance. Accepted in anything. You got some people that want to be accepted in everything. You know, they have to be liked. They have to, under at all circumstances. I call people like that crowd pleasers. I was similar to that, not so much as wanting to be liked by everybody, but whatever circle that I was running in at the time, that was the circle that I wanted to be accepted in. And unfortunately, you're not going to be accepted by everybody that you want to accept you, unfortunately. I mean, everybody has an opinion and they have a right to want to deal with you or not deal with you for whatever reasons. Because, like I said in a prior video to this, I've mentioned that, there were people who already misjudged me from the start. They already had this indication that, oh my goodness, she's this way, that way. So they already had a pre notion of what they thought I was. So naturally, I didn't come off very well with these people. And then once I get kind of wind of it, I'm the type person who try to correct it. I did. I used to go on the defense, but not anymore. I don't do that anymore. I don't feel as though it's necessary to, you know, prove myself to anyone. As you get older, you get a little better. You really do. I mean, I will say that in certain things. There's some things that don't change when you get older. You think it would, but it doesn't. But as I've gotten older, I realize you just, some of that stuff just so trivial. I don't see the point in even trying to have people like you all the time. Who gives a goddamn? You entitled to your opinion, no, just as much as I'm entitled to mine. So just like I have misjudged people that I felt like I wouldn't like them. Now that's different because I feel like you're just misjudging someone. But then you got some people that'll do it and stick with it. Like they feel like they go with the gut, so to speak. So they believe that's in the gut feeling. And sometimes I believe this so-called gut feeling, whether it's in the gut or not, is just maybe just a, a way of saying something, but I feel like it's more of a heart thing. Like my heart says this and my heart says that, but they say the heart is the most deceiving part of the body, and that's very confusing because the Bible really doesn't quote like that. It says the opposite of what people are saying. They say that the heart is deceiving and the mind is more like in control, like knows better, like those distinctions that come in that says a red flag, this is not right, or that's a good thing. That's really the mind. It's not the heart, and the two organs to me are very confusing. I can't tell sometimes whether it's the heart or it's the actual mind. But my personal thought on it, I believe that it's the mind. It really is. It all narrows down to that. Because without it, you're actually not functioning at all. So to say it's the heart, I think it's just something made up and things of that nature. So just, that kind of stuff. So, but back on the subject of trying to be accepted. I mean, like I said, lots of people wants to be accepted. Some people just want to be accepted just to be accepted. I don't understand that. I mean, why care? But, just everywhere they go, they got to be embraced and someone has to, like them or whatever. They got to have a say in it. And I don't feel as though it's necessary anymore in life. I really don't. No man is not meant to be alone. I agree there. And that doesn't mean you having a partner. Like you have to have like a significant other, like a marriage or a committed relationship. That means to me just someone there. It can be a parent to a child. It can be, a friend to a friend. Yeah, no one wants to be alone in that, and you want to be accepted for who you are. And I think being accepted is an unconditional thing. You got to take me as I am. It's none of that, I have to do certain things to appease you, and that's where we mess up, trying to be accepted especially early on in life. We're the type people, I think humans, we would bend and do things that we're not even most comfortable with just to please people. And when you have to step outside yourself, I feel like that's where you messed up. You know, when you have to not be who you are, that right there is going to tell you that whatever who you're ever trying to please, it's not gonna work for long. It will work temporarily, but it's not always gonna be, because you're gonna get tired. You're gonna get tired of doing things that you shouldn't have done from the very beginning. And that's what I mean by doing things that's stepping out of yourself. It's not cool, because once you do that, the real you gonna eventually show up, and then there, the person standing there who you tried to please all along will be sitting there saying, "Well, you did this." And to me, all of us do that, especially in the beginning of any type of relationship. We go out to places we may not want to go just because we like the person, and then that person wants to do it all the time, and then when you don't feel like it, they feel like you've changed. No, it was because you stepped outside of yourself trying to be accepted, and now you want to be you and you can't. And that's where the struggle gonna come in. And that's why I feel like us being accepted is important, but it's not. It's not always important, because if a person can take you truly as you are, you hit gold. You really did. Because it's very few of us will take a person as they are, because we all have flaws, and we all have flaws, unfortunately, that's we don't like. You know, other people don't like, we don't like in them. It's like it's something about them, or something you actually know about them that does not work, and you're like, I don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like you are who you are, and people need to accept you for that. And if they can't, then you're not going to be accepted by everybody. It's just bottom line. It really is. I have grown to know that. I really have. In relationships and friendships, I have friends, I even put nicknames on, because that's just who they are. And I just deal with them when I deal with them, and when I don't, I just don't. I really don't. I'm like, you know, she in one of the moods. I will not deal with her today. You know, I don't feel like dealing or carrying that burden for her or me today, so I won't do it. You know, I know my limits pretty much, and that's what you need to do. And I feel like that's where you accepted them as a person. You don't have to like everything that they do to even accept them. You really don't. You just have to realize that if you're not comfortable and you don't do it, you just like, and if they don't like it and they choose to get away from you, that's it. That's on them. Because I feel like a good friend, just like they claim a good man, is very, very hard to find. I think it's very hard to find anybody that to just suit you on every level. It's no such thing as 100%. There's no such thing as perfect when it comes to humans. There's no such thing. I don't even know what we consider as perfect. I don't even know who built this repertoire of a list of saying, you know, having a perfect, like, 2.5 family, which is like a husband and a wife and two kids and a half, whatever that is. I don't know what the half is. And then you have the car, the garage. I spoke about that in a prior video about, you know, how things actually looked than they were, you know, and it's who even painted that picture. You know what I'm saying? It just looked perfect. The picket fence, the cute little house. And then, you know, I even found myself riding past houses with actual white picket fences, and I liked them, you know, because I think it was a dream sold. And I think just fantasy kind of goes along with all of it. And that's what we consider is perfect, a fantasy, something that not obtainable. It's obtainable. It's just that we don't look at the reality behind what you can obtain. You can obtain this gorgeous house with this picket fence and this husband or the significant other and these children, but all that stuff comes with a price. You got a mortgage. You got to work hard. You got to work hard in the relationship. You got to be an awesome best mom you can be, best wife you can be, best husband you can be. You know, it's so much behind it. And then money. You know, that's always like the ruler of this world all the way around. And if you don't have these things, you know, that's another issue. So it's like it's a fantasy sold. And so, like I said, it was the way things looked. And trying to be, once again, accepted because the way it looks. And, oh my gosh, it's just such a waste of time. When you look back, you're like, damn, that was so stupid. I shouldn't even have dealt with that. Why? But, you know, you try not to live with too many regrets, because they say everything happens for a reason. And, it does what it does. And I may agree with that, but hopefully you find out what that reason is. Because to go to your grave not knowing, that's where it feels kind of wasted. But like I said, I don't think nothing is truly wasted. I just believe as you get older, you start to learn a lot more than you believe. You really do. I'm surprised. I really am. My whole life I've been a reader. I'll read anything. I would sit in the bathroom, which is, let me tell you, is my safe haven. To this day, the bathroom is where I go. I love the bathroom. It's like the water. I told you the water. The water is there. It's not closed in, but it's just my space, and no one I feel like should be in. And when I met this husband that I'm with now, he would just come in. I'm like, why? He didn't get that I didn't invite nobody in the bathroom with me. And his daughter is the same way. She would just come in the bathroom. I'm like, I'm not used to this. My kids did this when they were really, really young. They ain't know no better. But they knew me when they got older. I'm like, don't come at the door when I'm in the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? I mean, not if I'm doing my business or whatever. It's not that. It's just sometimes I'm just sitting in there. And I'll just start looking at things around and reading it. So when I'm doing this and I'm reading things, I'm like, wow, and you start to learn things. And you're like, so that's what that word is. And then you go look it up in the dictionary and you're like, yeah. And I did this my whole life. Ever since I was a little girl, I would look at things and read it. And then I can look at gestures. And if I didn't know the meaning of that word, I'm like, I know exactly what that word means, just where you incorporated it at in that sentence. I did stuff like that. So, you just learn as you go along. Being accepted is really overrated. It really is. I think it's cool, but you're going to disappoint people. And I think that's where people set themselves up for failure. What if you just go out there, especially with all the social media? You got Twitter, you got Instagram, you got Facebook, you got Snapchat, you got YouTube, you got everything. And everybody got these followers. They got fans, people following them. They get excited. You got all these numbers and all these people, and then you might even get paid for it. Whatever the case may be, you're getting excited. And then you get these people, and it's faithful on YouTube. The negative hits, and I think it's faithful all across the board. Wherever you're exposing yourself to, people have a right. They have that right, freedom of speech, and they can say whatever. Even though I feel like there should be a filter to it, because some of them I've read, I'm like, whoa. You really, really stepped way out of bounds when you said that. It's not even relevant to the video, but they do this. And that's how it's all set up. And that's where you're going to hit a wall. Because I have seen on YouTube so many times where people will actually dedicate a whole video to, their setbacks on doing vlogs. How people will say negative things and very hurtful things and things like that. I feel like, not only do you have to have a thick skin about it, but you just have to just ignore it. I mean, why be bothered with the people who don't care? And that's what you're going to learn when you get older. Even if it wasn't for any of this internet stuff, it was like that prior to that. Just trying to be accepted, you're going to hit a wall eventually because you can't please them all. But just that need to be accepted. Like I said, I think it just comes from being just growing up. I think we set our kids up like that. Think about it. When they do good, we reward it. We reward everything. So they want to be accepted in that way. So every time they get accepted in that way, they like, my mom, my dad gonna take me out. They gonna buy me something I want. And I did that faithfully. Every time my kids did something really, really nice, I'm like, well, okay. Especially when they got good grades. I'm like, well, you got good grades. We're gonna go ahead and, we reward it. And I think we're setting them up. We're setting them up because life really doesn't play out like that. Just because you're a good person and you do decent things doesn't mean you're going to be rewarded for it. It really doesn't. And I don't like when preachers sell that. I mean, it's okay to say certain things because it is scripture. But everything that you do, you're not going to be rewarded for. It just doesn't play out like that. And, I'm learning that still to this day. It just doesn't work like that. And that's where, when you set yourself up, you hit a wall so hard that it knocks you clearly off your feet. You're like, what? That didn't even work. And then you get distracted and discouraged. And once you get discouraged, then here come the woulda, couldas, and shouldas. I shouldn't have heard that. What if I'd have done it this way? It probably would have went that way. Could it have been better if I'd have went this way? No. No. That's where, they'll tell you about how just let life kind of play it out, because just to see where it goes, because it can go either way. It really can. It's so many things. We see it every day where people go, when they're not accepted. Their full intentions can be great and they're not accepted. And it's just how people are. It actually, I think, what makes us different from one another. We all were the same, and we all lived on the creed, like, if I do good to you, good's gonna come back. I do believe good will come back, but it comes back in a different form. And then I feel like you gotta be observant of it. Don't be just waiting for something good to happen because you did it, but something good will come around, and when it does, you catch it. I do that a lot. Even if I can just have a moment to myself, I'm the type person that, like, wow, that's cool. Whew, I like this. I had a moment. I felt actually normal today, because I'm telling you, I have days where I haven't felt like whatever my norm is. I haven't felt that sometimes in so long. I don't know what to do. It's like, what is it? Because it's always a ache, a pain, or something weird. I know the contributing factors to it. There's no health issues. It's just, like I said, it's my mental, and it has a lot to do with my anxiety, and it goes up. And I love coffee, and I love to drink coffee in the morning. And it's weird because it'll give me energy, like I said, in the morning, and then by the afternoon, I'm jittery. I'm like, it's the coffee. And then if I see something on TV that I already know is going to disturb me, it'll start to generate something inside me, and I feel real uncomfortable, and then I start to feel like I'm sick. I'm like, I feel sick. What is this? So I already know it's generating from that caffeine, because I have a chemical imbalance, and I just like the taste of coffee. And I tried decaf. It's not the same. It really isn't. And then, because I think caffeine has an effect, it has a feeling inside that I enjoy in the morning. It gives me that energy. Decaf won't do that. So it's like I'm just drinking for the flavor. And I drink coffee way more for the reason to get energy. I really do. But it does have a negative effect on me sometimes. And especially when I can get on a kick where it's not doing anything to me. I'm just getting energy and it's not bothering me. And if I decide to kick the habit for about a week, I feel it. I'm jittery all that week. Like, oh my gosh, not having withdrawal jitteries. I'm nervous because, all that caffeine that I was consuming starting to kick in, and now I'm feeling every bit of it, and it just starts to I start to spiral out of control. So yeah, I definitely understand the powers of not having the caffeine in you. And it's a difference, because when I got off of it, as I was weaning off of the caffeine, I started to feel what normal was. I was like, my stomach is not all upset, and it just felt so different. But you know how things make you comfortable and it becomes routine? I would do that. I did that with a lot of things, and coffee was one of them. Like on Saturday mornings, when I get up and make a big breakfast, I want coffee. And it curbs my appetite too, and I love that, because it does. Sometimes I can just drink coffee and won't eat, and it'll curb my appetite. But having nothing but caffeine in your system, yeah, definitely gonna have some effects on you, and it doesn't make me shake. It just makes me feel jittery inside, like I'm fluttering. And I'm like, oh man, I don't like this feeling, man. And my mind telling me, other things. I already know it's the caffeine. I have to tell myself that. I already know. But that's my point in it all. It's like, the body, and as you generate these thoughts, and how back to just trying to be accepted. It's really, and when people say harsh things, you take it to heart. Why we take it there, I don't know. I mean, like I said, people are truly entitled to their opinions. I mean, you can say what you want to say. You know who your truth is. I know it's easier said than done, because I think one of the reasons why we get so bothered by what we hear and say is because we ourselves have experienced maybe some form of abuse. Abuse come in many forms, and to hear it again, even when your intentions are good, you kind of still accepting the fact that maybe you were a failure in some sense of the word, or a disappointment, or you just wasn't accepted, and you don't know why. You think what is it about you that people don't like, and when you look in the mirror, you start not to like yourself, and all that kind of stuff. It can be a very confusing situation. I totally get it, because I remember, I'm going to tell you what really confuses me, and I don't know if I've said this before, but I don't get when people say, You know, you have to get off yourself in order to free yourself up. Like, get off the pity party, pretty much. You know, you're feeling yourself too much. You need to shift your thoughts. I get it, but I don't understand why they say it. And then, and in the same sentence, they can turn around and say, you have to channel all the energy within and figure out what it is about you that you need to change to reflect off on others. It's a contradicted sentence. I don't get it. You want me to get off me 1 minute, and then the next minute you want me to just be about me, like go somewhere and just do you. You know, and it's like one act is selfish and one act is selfless. It's like, but you're asking the same thing in the same sentence. I don't get it. I don't get it. And stuff like that just has always baffled me. And you really, really, really got to be mindful of the stuff you're listening to, and you got to really know how to filter things, because you're like, that if it doesn't sound right, don't keep investigating it till it sounds right. You know, we do that. You know, I do. Oh, I'm famous for it. It's like, what? Because my philosophy part kicks in. It's like, oh, what does that mean? Let me, go deeper. And then you go too deep, sometimes it can shift your thoughts. And you felt one way almost animately, and next thing you know, you're doubtful, and now you're like not unsure, and that's one thing you want to be, is sure. At least in your own world, not other people leading you, and that we make those mistakes, and that's how we hit that acceptance wall. It's like we trying to be accepted so much, and then when they don't like us, we don't like us, and now, we allowing people to puppeteer us. And that's exactly all it is. It's just a mind control thing, I mean, I don't think no one has totally mastered it, because I've seen people on Instagram and, not Instagram, like Twitter. I'm not a social media hound. I'm not heavily into that, because I really feel like it's more for young world. I really do. I don't fully understand, because I grew up in a taboo world. I grew up where, it's certain things we don't need to know, and we're not supposed to know. That's your business, especially with celebrities. I mean, celebrities, that's why they call them stars, because they were truly unreachable. But I don't get these, like, some people seem like, they got the decorum, they got it down. They will come back at someone in a real polite way, but then these people will keep pushing their buttons. And then all of a sudden they'll just blow up and say something real indignant. And then, the world will kind of come down on them. And I don't understand that. I really don't. I get the whole freedom of speech thing. I get where you maybe could defend yourself, but I feel like in a certain world, you just got to be mindful of this. People are just going to do things to rattle you. So you can't allow it to get next to you. Shut it down if you have to. Shut it down temporarily. Especially if you like getting like a whole bunch of it. Just shut it down. And then just reopen another one, where you can get the positive. It'll just shut it down altogether. Because, I mean, you do have that right. You can, like, I can't take too much of this, because a lot of people, minds, we're just, everybody not built for all that. You know what I'm saying? But in that world, you can get up in front of audiences, thousands of people, and perform, and then you have these people going in on Twitter and just saying, I don't like you, and I think you this. And I remember I watched Jimmy Kimmel, and he do this thing where, the celebrities read the really nasty tweets. Oh my gosh. It's like unreal things they say. And the celebrities are reading what these people are saying about them. And some of them are just absolutely hilarious. Some of the celebrities will be like, F you. Some of them like, wow, really? Is that how you feel? I mean, I think it's a good topic for people to hit, because, I mean, we always try to focus on what people do love, but it's some things that people really do hate. And when they shine that light, man, it's like, wow. And then they hear the celebrities themselves read it. And then they'll, like, I guess they have a name, the people, and they'll read their names out. And, they done had your little 5 minutes of fame or 5 seconds of fame when they read off your nasty, nasty tweet. But it's amazing how many people just hate people just for no reason. They don't even have a valid reason. So just to be accepted, it's really, really overrated. I feel like, and this may be so cliche, but I feel like once you accept yourself for who you are, it doesn't matter what else anybody really thinks. And I know you've all heard it before, but I really believe that. I'm confident in who I am. You know what I'm saying? If I don't draw you into my circle, you wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. And I think that's the way it's supposed to be. I think we got to arrive there, but it takes a lot to get there. I get it. Trust me. I get it because I'm one of them people. It's very hard. I mean, you want to be a pleaser. I'm a comforter. I'm the type person that if you come to my house, you're going to get the best room in the house. We will give up our bedroom for guests if we don't have the room, depending on where we live. I make sure breakfast is cooked for you. It's like a turn down service. It's like when you're at a hotel. Those are the kind of accommodations that I give people when they come over to visit. But if you're trying to live there, that's a different thing. Because my motto is once you live there, well, you got to set time to be there. So I can't make your life too comfortable because if I do, you never want to leave. So you got to go. So now it's going to be some rules and some regulations. I mean, it's just stipulations, but I'm still the type person, I love a clean home, and that type stuff. So you have to accommodate, because if you don't, we're going to have some problems. And whether you accept that about me or not, I don't care, because, this is my home, not yours. And I get that. If I go to someone else's home and they accept me in and they appreciate, I appreciate them taking me in. I'm different. I'm very different. And I'm not just saying it. I really am. I'm the type person, if I stayed at your house and you made this lavish meal and we're there, you can believe when you wake up the next morning, your kitchen going to be spotless and things like that. That's just how I am. And then everybody says it. Everybody I've ever stayed the night or whatever, and it was like, wow, I cannot believe I woke up and my whole house was clean. It was rare that I did that and someone actually cleaned. I mean, I feel like that's the least I can do. When I get up out of your bed is going to be made. That's just, I mean, it's only common sense. You want to be a gracious host and a gracious person that visits. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of people you don't mind coming back to visit. You be like, oh, girl, please come back. You like one of the best ones I never had to live with anybody else. I've been out on my own since I was 19, and I never lived with anybody else. But I know if I ever had to live with someone, they wouldn't have to worry about the house being clean and a bill being paid if I had the money, because this is how I am. And I feel like that's everybody. To me, that's not about being accepted. That's just common sense. You know what I'm saying? If someone is nice enough to do something for you, then you nice enough to... It doesn't make sense to be sloppy. Really? No, absolutely not. It's just logically, that just doesn't make sense to me. If I let you in, you need to be appreciative of it. And I'm the type of person, I don't ask for money. I'm the type of person, if you're going to stay, you just do what you can do. Even if it's just cleaning the house and while I'm at work, cook. I don't give a damn. And clean up behind the cooking, because as I cook, I clean. I can't work in a cluttered kitchen. I never could. I get that from my mother. That's faithful. I get that honestly from her, I open a can, pour something in, boom, can gone in the trash can. It's not sitting there open. It just bothers me. I'm like, ew, I can't think under clutter. My desk is like that at work. It's like my whole desk, everything is real spotless and in its place. I can't stand when people sit at my desk and move things. Like, why did you move that? That's not your desk. Don't put nothing there, especially in my sight. I don't like that. Or if people drop something right on my keyboard and walk away. I can't stand stuff like that. It's like, my desk is not set up like that. Don't do that. And I immediately move it. I want to sit there and I'll say something like, please put it to the side. Make it look neat. Let me know it's there, but don't drop it on the keyboard. Things like that. And that kind of stuff, I don't care what you do, what you feel. If you don't like it, you just don't like it. But that's who I am, and you don't have to accept that. And you learn that. It's like, I am who I am, and you just deal with me the way I am, and just deal with my flaws. If you don't like my flaws, step away from them. That's what I do. I step away from people that got issues that I don't like. And then there's certain things that I may love about them, and when they're like that, I'm around them. You really got to filter through that kind of stuff, even with your children. Growing up with teenagers in the house, man, when they go through moods, you be like, oh... Go ahead in your room. Especially my daughter. When she go in her room, I ain't question it. When she felt like coming out talking, she'd talk. I wasn't pushy like that as a parent. It's like, what's going on? It depends. It depends on what it was. Now, if you come home crying or something like that, oh, I'm in your business. Best believe I want to know what the hell's going on. But if you just in one of them moods, and my daughter was like that, you know, she was like me actually, you know, she preferred her privacy. So her room was her haven. A bathroom was my haven, and my bedroom. My bedroom also was my safe haven. Growing up, and all the way up through my adulthood, those two places still to this day are places that I prefer to go. I prefer to be in my bedroom or my bathroom. But no, I do not record in either room, especially not no bathroom. That's crazy. But I just wanted to touch on that subject. I just feel like being accepted can be truly overrated, and you just have to kind of filter through what you consider as being accepted. Because if it's, like I said, if it steps you outside of yourself, I don't feel like you should do it because you're gonna hit a wall. Eventually, it's gonna fail. So not being you, no, mm-mm. They should be able to accept you for who you are. You learn that. That's really something learned and kind of taught to you. It doesn't come that natural. It really doesn't. I think as children and babies, it's more natural because they don't know the rule of being accepted. They don't understand what that is. So, you know, they are who they are, and we just deal with them. Whether they're in a mood, whether they're crying, whether they're screaming, whether they're happy or they're sad, whatever, we just deal with it. And we can learn a lot from children. We can learn a lot from children and elderly because it's the circle of life. It's where you start, it's where you will end, and it's true. I always used to teach my students that always, you know, where you start off is where you end up if you live long enough. I might have said this in another video, I'm not sure, but you know, you end up maybe bald. You know, if you was born bald for the most part, depending on your genetics, of course. You know, I don't know. Everybody don't die that way when they get elderly. You lose your teeth. You know, you wasn't born with teeth. You lose your motor skills. A lot of us. We have to be, you know, fed again, help to walk again. I just observed that one day. It's like it's just truly the circle. It's like where you start is where you end up. You know, just like a baby, you just go back there. I think we just fear it the most. You know, having to depend on people and being accepted in that way. I feel like once you get older, you do have to be mindful of the things you've done when you were younger, because there's some people that's gonna throw you away like you're nothing, so and just leave you there to die. So I do feel like you do have to be very respectful in life, you know. But to be just accepted by anybody, no, and everybody, no, absolutely anybody. It's just what it is. You don't have to be. Just be you, and I'm sure, people will love you for who you are. I'm sure of it, especially if you got a good heart and a good way about you. Just be that person. Don't do things to be accepted, especially teenagers and young people with peer pressure. Don't do that. Don't do things you're not comfortable with. If your friends want to do certain things or curious of things that you're not curious of, then don't be curious. I was like that younger, you know. I was, like I said, I was born in the baby boom era, you know. Not baby boom, the baby having baby era. And a lot of young girls, like my girlfriends, they was all having babies very young. I still had my child young, but not as young as they were. You know, I was legally an adult when I had my first child. They were all underage. Their parents, you know, were helping them take care of their children. I wasn't like that. My mom didn't do that. You know, and I was grown. And I felt like when I had my first child, I stayed with my mother with my son. Maybe, I want to say, a month after he was born. He was like 1 or 2 months when I got out on my own. It just didn't feel right to live with your mom while you had children. That's just me. I'm not knocking anybody that does it. I mean, I understand that everybody is not, you know, doesn't have that mind, or they don't have the resources to get out on their own. I get that. I really do. You know, my own kids were like that. I mean, they lived with people. You know, a couple of them came back to me, you know, and I don't mind that. It is what it is. I get that. But I was very different in that way, you know. I fought for everything I got. I'm telling you, it was hard. It wasn't easy for me because I felt very limited, and no matter what, I pushed through the limitations just to a degree, only to a degree, because I feel like if I pushed really, really hard, I'd be way more successful. But, you know, I got through. I always felt like God had my back there. I always felt like, you know, I never was going to have a home. You know, I was one of them kind of women, you know, and I never looked at going to someone else as a backup plan just in case that didn't happen. I just didn't look at life like that. That was one thing I had a sure thing about, and I still feel that way. Like God always had my back when it came to my own place. You know, me and my kids had a conversation about that one day. Because when my marriage fell apart, they felt like, because they knew some things, and they was afraid to tell me. And I was like, well, why were you afraid? You know, and they was like, well, we thought we was going to lose our home. And I was like, don't you ever believe that. I said, your mother's name is on everything. Best believe it. Your mom is on everything. So we weren't going to lose anything. Believe it. Only way we would have lost it if I didn't have the finances. It wouldn't have been because of a man. No way. I wouldn't allow that, you know. But my kids didn't know that. You know, they were young. And I get why they might have been afraid, you know. So I reassured them they never had to worry about that again, ever. We weren't going to lose anything. We was going to have the home. Him leaving the home wasn't doing us no favor because it was my home as well. So you did us a favor by leaving, but best believe it wasn't because you left us the home. No, absolutely not. It's going to be my home anyway until I decided to get up and leave. And I did just that. And went out and did something. It was totally on my own, strictly with my name on it. So, you know. So I just wanted to touch on that subject. I know something like a real off subject. But I hope you enjoyed. And this is Balance 47. Once again, coming to you, telling you something that I've learned in life. Let's see what you learned. And see how you do or what you do to be accepted or what not to do to be accepted, because it's not cool at all. So you guys take care. Bye.